I know it has been a very, very, very long time since the last time I did a Blacarian examination video. I can't even remember the last time I did one, nor can I remember who it was on. Maybe it's because I've missed some along the way, or maybe some didn't stick out to me, or whatever the case may be. However, today, on the day that you're seeing this, the time has come to bring or reemerge the Blacarian examination, because Yvette Nicole Brown has basically proven that she definitely fits into this category. And I really could care less if she sees this video or not, or is upset with the things I'm going to say as it pertains to her, but they just have to be said, because we as black people have to draw a line in the sand when it comes to holding our own accountable. Now, to preface this just a little bit, in case y'all are unaware of who Yvette Nicole Brown is, she is an actress. She's mainly been doing like basically sitcoms or comedy type of shows. She's really been regulated a lot to television. I haven't seen her too much in film. I don't really know too much of her resume, but I do know of seeing her in a lot of things. She's been around for a couple decades now, at least since the 90s. She's been around, so she has a pretty long, extensive resume for doing various different projects. But the latest one that she's decided to attach herself to has literally pissed a lot of people off, especially a lot of black people, and rightfully so. So in case you're unaware, and by now you should be very well aware, there is this new animated series coming out called Good Times, which is basically a reboot of the original Good Times series that came out in the early 70s and ran to about 1979. Very classic show. Everybody who is black definitely should be aware of it, whether they were around when it was a brand new show or around later when it was in reruns in syndication. Of course, with me being born in 89, the show had already been off the air for 10 years. And of course, I didn't discover the show until years later. But for my parents who were around during its entire run, it definitely holds a place in their hearts in sitcom history. Definitely, like I said, a very iconic television show. And for them to take a show like that, especially with how the show ended, and then turn it into this animated series that's going to be on Netflix, into the debaucherous, deplorable, disgusting, and very stereotypical, and in my opinion, very anti-black narrative that they've turned it into, is absolutely disgusting. I only got through about 30 seconds of that trailer that they dropped, and I watched it on mute. And even on mute, I was very disturbed and disgusted by it. So I can imagine what it would have sounded like if I had the sound turned on. And many other black people were so pissed by it, and rightfully so. I've spoken on a space about it, not hosted by me, but it was hosted by someone else, but I did lend my voice to the matter. Kid Gravity did a live stream in which I gave my take on it there as well. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do my own live stream about it or not. If I will, the live stream would have most likely gone up by the time this video gets uploaded. And it's just hard to wrap your mind around the fact that the original series ended with them getting out of the ghetto, only for this new reboot to come, which is supposed to be like decades after the original one ended, for them to not only be in the same situation they're in, but almost regress in a way where they've gone and fallen even backwards than they were in the original series. It's like I would have loved to see where they are now if they were maybe in middle class America, maybe owning a few properties, owning some businesses, because why would you go back like that? And it's just so deplorable. It's so debaucherous with the other narratives that are in there. Like if you saw the trailer, you know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. But back to Yvette Nicole Brown. She's one of the voices for one of the characters on the show, and people have been calling pretty much everybody out. People have been sounding the alarm on not just the show itself in Netflix, but even the people attached to it behind the scenes, or people who are voice actors for the series, because I'm familiar with a lot of the names that are attached to this so-called thing. People are so pissed, in fact, that they went and disliked the hell out of the trailer over on Netflix. Last I checked, it had like 35 or 3,400 plus likes and over 16,000 dislikes. And that was before I recorded this video. I can only imagine what it is now on this day, which is the day after I decided to say something about it on Kid Gravity's live stream, and I can only imagine where it sits at now by the time this video gets uploaded on my channel. So I hope that the dislikes keeps going up and that this sends a sign that this is a show that we did not ask for, nor do we want. But Yvette Nicole Brown decided to speak out about this in a series of posts on X, and we're going to go through each one. So she says one more thing. So by this time, she's already gotten wind that people do not like the fact of this show, and she's come out and tried to defend it, but even she can't defend it properly, which is why she chose to respond the way that she did. She says one more thing. You know what's a bigger threat to us as black people than an animated TV show? The amount of us who aren't registered to vote, or who don't vote, or who don't hashtag vote blue, because people like Nina Turner tell them every politician is the same, which is a lie. They are not. So she just told you right there, she's on the vote blue no matter who crowd. She just blatantly told you to your face that she's a Democratic shill. So when she loses the argument about how deplorable this show is going to be, or is, she pivots into bringing up politics and saying how basically dumb we are for putting our issue into a show that misrepresents black people in every way possible, to saying that we need to vote blue no matter who, and then throws Nina Turner under the bus when Nina Turner says every politician is the same. Many people would gladly agree with what Nina Turner said, because many politicians are the same. Not saying every last one is, but a good 99.9% of them are. I mean, have we been proven wrong yet? Especially when it comes to the plight of black people. So she makes that first post. Then she goes on to say this. Because of voter ignorance or apathy, a full demon was in the Oval Office and was able to put 3 Supreme Court justices on the bench. Justices who immediately overturned a woman's right to choose and affirmative action. And don't get me started on his pandemic response. Again, she went and pivoted to the political spot and still threw black people under the bus, because she couldn't handle the heat of why black people were calling her out about this show. So she went into a route that she thought she could handle and basically outwit black people, because, you know, a lot of black people, some black people think that other black people are just politically inept. I've said this so many times, especially those shills. Those shills are the ones out there who think they know every damn thing and they don't know shit from shit. She goes on to say, because we don't vote in every election and for every office, legislators and school boards are banning books and refusing to teach our history. Teachers are still grossly underpaid, leading to the need for wonderful organizations like @Donors Choose, which bridges the gap. Then she goes on to say, don't get me started on climate change, our national infrastructure, LGBTQ rights, and so much more. Voting in every election and choosing to quote-unquote hashtag vote blue saves our democracy and saves us. I've spoken ad nauseum about all these things, have you? Guess what she didn't mention? Reparations, intangibles, an anti-black hate crime bill, and the ending of qualified immunity. But look at what else look at what she talked about. She's an all lives matter type of person. At least that's the vibe that I'm getting from her. She's speaking towards everything that will affect everyone else but her. And she said hashtag vote blue again. Then she says, or do you save your outrage and outreach for reprimanding actresses about shows on Netflix? While we're asking folks to do better, start with the man or woman in the mirror. Now that's some hashtag good times right there. Take it home, Mike. And then she posts up the meme of Michael Jackson eating the popcorn in the Thriller video. There's a very infamous, well, not infamous, but a very famous GIF or GIF on social media. The nerve of this woman to sit up there and then grandstand in the way that, in the manner that she did, and because black people held her feet to the fire. And then she pulls this right here, thinking she actually had a win, but she actually didn't make herself look any better. She actually made herself look 10 times worse in the eyes of black people, especially All she had to do was really just, take accountability and say that she was wrong for even accepting this role and doing this. But see, like I said, she knew she wasn't going to win that argument because she knew she was wrong. So what did she do? Pivot to the talking point to make it seem like black people didn't know even how to outwit her on this too, which they did. I'm not going to show you the comments, but trust me, black people flamed her again, and then she started going back and forth with black people in the comment section. It was crazy about how this woman was acting. But I'm not shocked or surprised by her antics whatsoever. It's just unfortunate because a woman who is as talented as she is decides to go this route. Yvette, all I'm going to say is this. You was wrong. You were wrong to take on that part, and when black people called you out, you were wrong to pivot to this to make it seem like you was quote unquote trying to test our political knowledge. No, what she did was insult our intelligence, and we insulted her right back, or at least they did. I don't even have the strength to even go back and forth with her in her own comment section about this, but people was clowning the hell out of her and going in on her. As you can see, it has 242 responses so far, over 668 reposts, 3,000 likes, and 50 bookmarks. I gave it a bookmark because I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose this post when it was time to talk about it. This is very upsetting and very disappointing on the behalf of her because she knows better. She chooses not to do better. She literally just did the whole vote blue no matter who. This is the same stuff that TD talks about. This is the same stuff that Phil Scott talks about as well. And then they wonder why they continue to hammer in on people like that. It's because of people like her. This woman literally told us to shut up and stop talking about her role on this new, what I can't even bring myself to call it good times because it's definitely not a good time. It doesn't look like one either. It looks like a very below mid time, a very stereotypical time, a very propagandized time. And then again, insult our intelligence by bringing politics into this and then telling us to basically vote blue. That's literally all she has become. When this woman is not in her actual career of acting, she's shilling all over social media, especially on X. Don't believe me? Go look at her page. And that'll tell you all you need to know right there. This is very disappointing. It is very disappointing. But it has to but while it's a disappointment, it also has to be called out. I told y'all in 2024, I don't give a damn who it is. If you are doing something like this that we consider to be a detriment, we're going to call it out. And this behavior has to be called out. It doesn't matter who it is or where it's coming from. It doesn't matter if you're a regular person, everyday person, or if you are a person who is in a different tax bracket and living in a house in the hills of Hollyweird. If you pull some stunts like this, we get wind of it, especially in the new black media, we are going to call it out. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and nobody is exempt.